We stood there, breathless, the air thick with smoke and death. The enemy's banners swayed on the ridge above, black and crimson, their sigil glowing faintly in the choking dusk. "Hold the line," our captain shouted, but his voice was drowned by the thunder of hooves, the distant pounding of drums. It began 4 months ago, on the day our kingdom's sun faltered. The war hadn't started with soldiers but with whispers, rumors of a powerful empire to the east, an unstoppable force that consumed everything in its path. The Tarian Dominion, they called it. At first we thought it was a distant threat, a nightmare for someone else to face. But we were wrong. The first city fell before dawn. Reports spoke of towers reduced to rubble, rivers running red, and an army that moved like a tide of steel and fire. By the time the scouts returned, the Tarians had already crossed the mountain pass. Our leaders scrambled to prepare. Walls were fortified. Villages were evacuated. Promises of protection echoed in the halls of power, but we knew the truth. This war wasn't one we could win. I was a blacksmith before the conscription. My days were spent hammering steel, crafting tools for farmers and swords for men braver than me. When the call came, I joined not out of duty but desperation. My family lived on the frontier, their safety hinged on how long we could hold the line. Training was brief, barely enough to teach us how to hold a spear, let alone survive against the Tarians. Most of us were farmers, merchants, boys too young to know the weight of a blade. The veterans who drilled us didn't waste time with pleasantries. "You won't last long," one had said, his face carved from stone. "So make your death count." I didn't understand what he meant until the first battle. The Tarians attacked under cover of darkness, their war horns shaking the ground. We held the western gate, our shields locked, our breaths shallow. When they came, it was like nothing I'd ever seen. Rows upon rows of soldiers, their armor black as night, their faces hidden behind expressionless masks. Arrows rained down on us, piercing flesh and wood alike. I remember the screams, the way the ground turned slick with blood. But it wasn't the slaughter that haunted me, it was the silence of the Tarians. No war cry, no taunts. They killed without sound, as if war was simply a task to be completed. We lost the gate that night. Days turned to weeks and the war dragged on. Every skirmish cost us more lives than we could afford. Our defenses crumbled, but we fought with a desperation born of hopelessness. For every village they burned, for every friend we buried, our hatred grew. Then came the battle at the Ashon Divide. It was our last stand, a narrow valley flanked by jagged cliffs, its floor covered in blackened soil from some ancient fire. If we could hold the divide, we could stall the Tarian advance long enough for reinforcements to arrive. At least that's what the generals told us. The truth? Reinforcements weren't coming. We were the reinforcements. The morning of the battle, the sky was heavy with ash. The Tarian banners appeared first, their army stretching across the horizon. We took our positions, a ragged line of exhausted soldiers clutching broken shields and dull blades. And then silence. The kind of silence that makes your chest tighten, that stretches seconds into eternities. I gripped my spear, my palms slick with sweat and fear. And then they charged. The ground trembled under their weight, a wall of black armor rushing toward us like an avalanche. We met them with everything we had, arrows, spears, rocks, but it wasn't enough. They smashed into our line and the world dissolved into chaos. I don't remember much of the fight, only flashes. The weight of my shield as it splintered under a blow. The cold edge of a blade slicing through my arm. The faces of my comrades as they fell one by one, their eyes wide with terror. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, the Ashon Divide was a graveyard. I lay among the bodies, the air thick with smoke and the stench of death. My vision blurred, and for a moment I thought I saw movement, a figure standing amidst the carnage, their armor unlike anything I'd seen before. They turned and their gaze met mine. Not a soldier. Not a Tarian. Something else. And then darkness. When I woke, the battlefield was silent, the enemy gone. I don't know why they spared me, why I'm still here to tell this tale. But as I write these words, I can still feel their gaze, the weight of something far older than the Tarian Dominion watching us from the shadows. The war isn't over. It's only just begun.